What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of This Week in Sports. It is me, the one and only Romeo Sharp. Happy April, everyone. April is a really good month in terms of sports as well. I know the baseball season just started too. Shout out to the Padres. I believe they're 5-0 for the first time in franchise history as well. They swept the Braves and something around that nature and stuff like that. And then also we have the NFL draft coming up at the end of this month as well. A lot of smokescreen going on around the league right now in terms of that. I will get my first round mock draft out. Hopefully, definitely before the draft comes up. Hopefully within the next week or so, we're going to work around and try to get that going for that first round. I'll get my thoughts and opinions on who should take who in that first round as well. We also got the NBA playoffs that will be starting up pretty soon as well. And then we're going to be crowning our national champion in the NCAA March Madness basketball tournament pretty soon too as well. But while we're at it, let's get into our first topic of the day. Breaking news out of the NFL. The NFL coaches and owners had a meeting this morning to discuss rule changes and different policies going on in the NFL for this upcoming season. And one of the biggest rules that got changed was the overtime rules. And so going on to last year they changed the rules for both teams possessing the ball in overtime in the playoffs. And now this year, they even made it even better. Now in the overtime rules expand into the regular season now too, and now both teams can possess the ball in the regular season. I believe this is a really huge and a great thing for the sport as well. If I talk about my experience of watching games that go into overtime in the regular season, I mean I've dealt with nightmares. As a Broncos fan, there's a couple regular season games. I think it was against the Raiders not too long ago, a couple of years back. They had an overtime game in the regular season, and you essentially.
Did you guys go to overtime with the Chiefs?
Not in the playoffs, no. But I believe what we did go into overtime with the Baltimore Ravens. It was the Baltimore Ravens back in 2012. It was that was Joe Flacco's. That was Joe Flacco's legacy game right there. He tore up Denver that year, and that just for the playoffs though. And I wish that rule implemented in the playoffs around that time. Then Peyton Manning would get his shot, because essentially with the overtime rules now changing, this kind of negates the fact that you can a game is decided by a coin toss, because that's usually what it comes down to. Because the first team to possess the ball, there's a 80% chance that team will score on the first possession. And so having the game being decided by a coin toss is ridiculous. I know the Buffalo Bills a couple years back, it was the Buffalo Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs. They went into overtime with the Kansas City Chiefs, and basically they lost by the coin toss. Because if Josh Allen would have got that ball, he would have went down and scored a touchdown as well himself. But the rules weren't the same as that they implemented this year. And like I said, it's a good thing for the NFL in this upcoming season. I believe now it's 10-minute periods. Like I said, both teams possess the ball, and I don't know if you can double check. No, I've been trying to look into it. I don't know if it's the full 10 minutes. Or both teams just get a chance to possess the ball, and then whoever scores, kind of like how the regular rules are. Like if the team scores, the other team will have a chance, and if they don't score, then the game's over. But I don't know if it's that way or if it's
remain 10 minutes.
It's just remain 10 minutes. Okay, cool. Yeah. So like I said, this is huge for the game in the NFL. It'll make things more exciting. Like I said, a game will never be decided by a coin toss anymore. Now the next rule that they changed is now. Touchbacks will now be at the 35-yard line in terms of the kickoff. And I think with this rule, it is now discouraging the kicking team from kicking the ball in the back of the end zone, and now it will bring more returns and stuff like that. So there is obviously a penalty now in the sense of if you kick the ball in the end zone, the offensive team is going to have the ball at the 35-yard line, and and they only will need a short field to work with in terms of going down the field. And now the other one, which is my other favorite one, this is my second favorite, is the NFL uniform policy. So now the NFL has changed to where teams can wear their alternate or their throwback jerseys up to 4 times a year. I believe last year I think they can only wear wear certain ones at least once or something like that around the season. So some of my favorite jersey combos that now I probably can see up to 4 times this upcoming season is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers creamsicle uniforms. Those are probably one of my favorites. The Philadelphia Eagles, their Kelly greens with their throwback logos on their helmets, and that's a wonderful color. I love looking at that. The Tennessee Titans throwbacks. What is it? The Houston Oilers throwback jerseys as well. Those are really nice. It's like a powder blue, baby blue, and I really enjoy those. The Broncos throwback jerseys, you can't go wrong with those. Those look really amazing on the field last year, and they won both of their games that they played in those jerseys. And also the Patriots old school jerseys as well. Their throwback ones are really, those ones are really nice to me as well. So this is exciting to me. We get, like I said, we get to get more flavor in the NFL in terms of the uniform policy. They have a very strict uniform policy. There's certain things you just cannot wear, and they're being more lenient in terms of like helmet colors, and just like I said, the jerseys as well. So that's very exciting. And then the next thing is, and I think this is really huge, and it can really change the game now. They expanded replay assistance now, so this is very huge. So now with the expanded replay assist, they can be used to pick up flags. Like phantom calls, essentially, like if there was a horse collar, but it actually wasn't the horse collar tackle, or like a face mask and it wasn't a face mask, maybe it just hit the top of the dude's helmet or something along those lines. Now that can be used to actually pick up any flags like that, any like personal fouls like that. Unfortunately, though, it still cannot be used to throw a flag. So if there is a missed, defensive PI, if there is a missed face mask or anything like that, it just won't. It's not going to help with that. So maybe within the next year or so, hopefully we'll look into that as well. But this, like I said, this is a huge game changer. There were a lot of phantom calls last year in the NFL, and so now we can be able to negate those. And like I said, we can change the trajectory of a game now just with this going on. So that's really huge. So one of the big topics that have been swirling around in terms of the for this upcoming meeting was the tush push ban. And what's crazy is 16 teams were in favor of this ban. And as I look at it, I think it's kind of lame. I think it's kind of lame in a sense of, I think these teams, these 16 teams that are in favor of this ban, it's either, they're saying it's about safety issues and stuff like that, but there's no evidence at all yet, y'all. There's no evidence to support that this is actually a dangerous play. And like I said, it's ridiculous in my opinion. And they will discuss it further in May, so they kind of pushed it back, and they're going to have another meeting of the NFL owners and coaches in May to potentially to give the committee a little bit more time to look over this play of the tush push. And a lot of, I think Philly really executes the tush push play really well. I haven't seen, I've watched them execute the tush push numerous times throughout last season and the year prior, and I haven't seen anybody sustain any major injuries or anything like that. So I personally think it's more so just about them trying to, I guess they can't stop the play, so maybe they're just getting, upset about that. Like they don't have the right the right tools to actually stop this type of plays. So, like I said, I kind of find it ridiculous that they are even thinking about banning the tush push. So that we will learn more. We'll know more about it in May, along with a lot of other things that will be in play as well. I think the Detroit Lions actually put in a request to negate defensive holding to be an automatic first down, and like I said, that got pushed to May just because they didn't get enough people to vote in favor of that. So when it comes in May, we'll learn a little bit more about that. So I want you guys to let me know, out of all these changes and rule changes, which one was your favorite? Is there still a rule that you think that should be put in place as well coming in May when they do reach out with each other back in May? Let me know what you guys think down below. With that being said, now we have a really huge dilemma going on, y'all, between a very a very, very huge ESPN analyst, and Stephen A. Smith versus LeBron James. Now, I'm not lying here, y'all. This is basically about to be they might need to go into the boxing ring with this one. But we got Stephen A. Smith versus LeBron James, y'all. So this whole like thing just started back in January 28th on First Take with Stephen A. Smith quoting, and this is what he said. He said, "I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. Stop this. We all know Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad. You're exposing your son like this." And that's a pretty hefty quote. And I know we all know, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, that Bronny James has been getting a lot of criticism for being in the NBA. What is your thoughts about, just what Stephen A. said in January 28th?
I think it's the way he worded it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he worded it as like, because he said, "I'm pleading with you as a father." That's kind of weird to me. And like, since he's a sports analyst, he should keep it about sports. And he tried to do that, but then he brought LeBron in as a father, and I don't know. So he tried to make a point of Bronny's only in the league because of his dad, which there is truth to that. But also, Bronny is a good player. He's just still developing. He's a 55th pick. Like, he's a 55th pick. You're not going to find, like, name me 56, 57, 58, 59, and name me 60.
I won't be honest.
Like, you're not going to be able to. And if you look them up, they're probably not even in the G League. They're probably not even hooping like that. But Bronny is, right? Like, he's averaging pretty good numbers for G League. Some people were even saying that he shouldn't be in the G League, but I still think it's good for his development. But yeah, anyway, Stephen A. Smith, I think he's at the point now where he's just talking to say stuff, because he knows that he can get headlines out of this for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And then now even other analysts like Kendrick Perkins and Brian Windhorst, like they're jumping in on it because it's trending and because it's it's big news right now. So I feel like that's kind of unfair. But I mean, LeBron did go on Pat McAfee's show, right?
Yeah.
I'm
going to talk about that. You said that he's kind of.
I just think it's kind of unfair that that Stephen A. Smith even brought up the fact that he's not doing his job as a father, or even brought up the fact of him being a father to Bronny is why he's not successful in the NBA. Like, that's stupid. That's really stupid.
It is.
That's kind of ignorant.
No, it is. And like, I know, and like, just taking this quote, I think that's just like, I am cherry picking, because I think overall on January 28th, I believe Stephen A. Smith was actually talking about Bronny James and his game and his play in the NBA. On top of obviously this, coming to him saying, bringing up the father aspect of it. But then in early March, on March 6th, LeBron actually responded to him, and he went up to him. I think they were playing before. It was before or after the Knicks game. He told Stephen A. He said, keep my son out of this shit, in a confrontation. So, and the next morning now, Stephen A. Smith went on to First Take and basically stated that he didn't come to him as a basketball player, but as a father. And then he also went on to the Stephen A. Smith show later that night. And then he also went on multiple networks throughout that week and was speaking on it. And it was insane. It was insane. He even went as far as calling LeBron weak, and that confronting him was quote unquote bullshit on the Gilbert Arenas podcast. That's what you were talking about, right? He was on the Gilbert Arenas podcast too, and he went on there and said what he did was bullshit. And then he also, which I thought this was crazy, he had a response if LeBron touched him too. And he says, "And let me state for the record, while we bring up that, let me assure you, it wouldn't have gone down like that. I would have gotten my ass kicked, because if that man put his hands on me, I would have immediately swung on him immediately. That I'm not going to tolerate. So I thought that was kind of crazy that he would even, it would kind of go into that realm. You know what I'm saying, Noah? And then, like you said, LeBron went onto the Pat McAfee show on March 26th, and he described, and you kind of described it too, he described that Stephen A. is on a Taylor Swift tour run right now. And this is what LeBron stated, saying that he's like on a Taylor Swift tour run right now. It started off with, I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it, but since the video came out, I feel the need to address it. He said, and he, quote, "Motherfucker, are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait until the video dropped so you could address it, it is your ass." And he completely missed the point. the whole point. And so, like I said, it's getting stickier and stickier. Stephen A. then responded back the next morning, calls him petty, and then he said he thinks the reason that it's going down like this is because I think he's been openly stating that he doesn't believe LeBron James is the greatest of all time. So, it's just all these different pieces going. And this is where it got worse because he then went on to state that LeBron skipped out on Kobe Bryant's funeral as well as Dwayne Wade's retirement ceremony. He then obviously an hour later took back those claims and apologized. And so just that's where I think things took a turn, and where I think it was very unnecessary for Stephen A. to even say things like that. I get it; he is an analyst. You're supposed to critique the basketball players. You're supposed to you are a viewer, a watcher of many sports. Stephen A. Smith, and he's really good at his job. I'm not gonna shoot him down while he's already down, but he's really good at his job as a sports analyst. I mean, he's been doing this for a really long time, over 30 plus years, working for different networks and just moving up the ranks. Like I said, he just signed a big deal with ESPN as well, and just looking at this whole thing, it's just that last portion, in which he, like I said, he took his claim back and he apologized. But like, why would what does that have to do with the game of basketball? It was all supposed to be about Bronny James, and then you brought in LeBron and him as a father, and then now you're questioning his character and who he is as a person. So I don't know.
If it was about basketball, then like just strictly make it about basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and just talk about Bronny's stats, talk about what Bronny has to do better, and all that, because that's what sports analysts do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the problem, and Stephen A. has also had problems with LeBron for a really long time too. So yeah, the problem was just he took it a little bit too far. That's what happened with, or that's why he came up to him at the game and they talked, and then Stephen A. is just dragging this shit out, to be honest. Like he said, he did a Taylor Swift tour where he went on podcasts after podcast after podcast.
He even went on Fox News to talk about it, which is kind of yes. He actually went on Fox News to talk about it too, which is actually I'm just like, and like I see where LeBron's coming from. If it was
annoying.
just about the game of basketball, because I'm sure a lot of analysts have talked about Bronny James. And mind y'all, let's not forget that Bronny James is coming back from, he had cardiac arrest like literally in his last year. So
he barely played a freshman season.
Like
the fact that he got to the NBA off of like half of a college season. Yeah, that might have to do with the fact that LeBron wanted to play with his son, but also he's still capable of playing. He's showing that in the G League, and he had a couple games in the actual NBA where he was doing great.
I think he dropped like, I don't know what game.
Dropped 17 on the Bucks.
Yeah, 17 and I believe that was like the most points by a rookie since Magic did it. I believe it was or something around those lines
for the Lakers.
Yeah, for the Lakers or something like that.
Yeah.
I believe, I could be wrong, but it's something around those lines. Like, and I'm
hold on. What? No, that's got to be fake.
I don't know if that was the exact
Lonzo
stat line.
Ball.
I don't know if that was the exact stat line though. I seen it and it left my mind. But regardless, so Bronny James. And I mean, let's be real, y'all. LeBron James is literally the face of the NBA. So, I mean, I'm sure he has a little bit of say-so what goes on around the league and what goes on around the Lakers organization and what not going on over there. So, it's like, I mean.
Also, LeBron's a smart guy. He's not going to be fucking that biased. He's not gonna, if you asked him, like, hey, how do you think Bronny's playing? He's not going to be like, oh, he's amazing. He's my son. He's amazing. Like, no. Like, he knows. He's probably in Bronny's ear right now, just like all the other Lakers on that team, telling him like how to get better and all this shit. And Stephen A. Smith is acting like that's like not there. Like that's just
what's
not
the term?
what they're
Nepotism.
doing.
That's what's been thrown out a lot from I mean, not even just Stephen A., but a lot of analysts that are critical of LeBron James and critical of the Lakers franchise as well. It's just a bunch of nepotism going on over there, like I said, and then with the idea that, and there's a lot of belief. I don't really believe this, but I mean, it would make sense. Like I said, the idea that LeBron has a lot of say-so and a lot of say, and I mean, like I said, he's been doing this for a long time, and just seeing him being on the Lakers as well and seeing how he's been playing with them. I mean, He should have a voice. I mean, like I said, I think LeBron is up there as one of the greatest of all time, and
He's kind of earned.
He's earned that right. You know,
to say if I want to waste, not waste, but if I want to spend a 55th pick, if I want you guys to spend a 55th pick on my son because he's available in this draft, go get him. Like, and then we can develop him in the G League, which is exactly what they're doing.
And and that's the thing. It's not like because he's on a 2-way deal right now, right? He's still
guys,
like he's going back. Like
they didn't fucking get him to start point guard and lead them to a championship. It's a fucking 55th pick, for fuck's sake. Like, stop putting like expectations on him.
There shouldn't be.
There should not be any expectations.
Obviously, okay, yeah. His position in the draft, there shouldn't be any expectations for him. I can't name a 55th pick that's actually succeeded in the NBA. I'm sure there is someone we can find.
There's a 60th pick, and his name is Isaiah Thomas.
Is it the short guy? Is it
5'9" Celtics? You know?
And so like him, you know,
no one had one
in
a few, bro.
Yeah, it's one in a few, and then obviously just because of his name, it's the namesake. You know, let Bronny James be himself, and I think LeBron wants that too. He doesn't want Bron like when he talks about Bronny, he wants to talk about Bronny the basketball player, not Bronny LeBron James' son. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wants him to have that, which is it's going to be difficult, obviously. You know, it's not going to be easy. And I'm going to talk about, actually, later on, another family that's kind of that's blowing up as well in the Sanders family in college/NFL. So, you know, it's difficult. You know, and obviously LeBron, as his father, you know, you will defend your son regardless. I feel like, you know, I'm sure he hears it all the time, and it irritates him, and it probably is kind of toxic for his family to hear those type of things. But regardless, like, you know, and I mean, I know there is one issue I think I had with LeBron. I believe he did go on to state that he doesn't like that the way they're critiquing the game. I don't know. It was something like that, right? No, I don't know. He said he had an interview, like it was a post game interview, and I think he was talking about how he doesn't like how analysts are kind of going about the game and not going about it the right way or something like that. There was like a
he's probably talking about how like they make storylines and headlines.
Yeah, that's what
of certain things instead of actually talking about the basketball game, which is what Stephen A. Smith had kind of done.
Yeah.
So
like I say, y'all. I mean, the Lakers got a huge win yesterday against the number 2 seed Rockets, and they're looking to push themselves up the standings. It looks like they can get as high as the 2 seed or maybe as low as the 6 or 7. I think we have 8 games left right now or something like that. So we have like 8-9 games left in the season. And, hopefully, this doesn't distract LeBron too much as he focuses in on trying to get the Lakers another chip. And, so that's just really my thoughts on that situation. I want you guys to let me know what you guys think about this whole thing. Who do you think is anyone right here? Is LeBron right? Stephen A. right? Let me know what you guys think down below. Let's kind of let's transition over. So I made a pretty good prediction on Russell Wilson, but I mean, it wasn't that hard because it was kind of a 50-50 shot. It was this team or the other. So Russell Wilson officially signs with the New York Giants. And then what does this really mean for the New York Giants going next? I think this is a smart signing for the Giants. It's actually a heavily incentive-based contract, and it's really centered around playing time and wins, and he can only really maximize this contract because right now it's a 1-year, $10.5 million guarantee. It can shoot up to $27 million. That's only if I think he goes undefeated. I think if they go 17-0, the New York Giants, then everything can be in play for him for that. And then, but the only thing with him is that he's thrown for less than 30 touchdowns the last 3 seasons with Denver, with Pittsburgh. So his play has declined rapidly. He went 6-5 in the last 11 games with the Steelers last year. I think they went on actually a 5-game losing streak actually to end the season off. And last year he threw for 2,482 yards. He had 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And so it wasn't Gonty numbers. He hasn't really put up those numbers since he left Seattle. Like I said, he is getting up there in age, but I think this is really good. Just this quarterback room is a very interesting quarterback room. You got the God-fearing man, both God-fearing men, and Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, and then just the character of Jameis Winston. That guy is like that guy really sparks the locker room. Everywhere he's been, whether it was Tampa, whether it was the Saints, the Browns, whoever, he's really, everyone speaks highly of Jameis Winston. And like I said, there's a roller coaster with him, and then with Russ, and both of those guys you got them for, basically dirt cheap. And so, regardless how this season plays out for them, this upcoming season, who knows what will be next for the Giants. Like I said, they're coming off a 3-win season. But, like I said, Russell Wilson has a young supporting cast around him with the rising star Malik Neighbors. They got Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hurts, and Darius Slayton. I know Russell Wilson actually went on and spoke highly of Jalen Hurts, said he has untapped potential that Russell Wilson can possibly bring out in him, and I think that's very true. So that young receiving core right there, they have the 3rd pick in this year's draft. I don't think quarterback is out of the question just yet, but it seems more so. I feel like they will lean towards. I personally think they should pick up Travis Hunter with that 3rd pick. Like I said, that unicorn guy. You can add another speedy guy at wide receiver, or even put him out at cornerback as well, and mainly probably put him at corner and really help out that defense. And then according to Joe Shoshin, the Giants GM, he did say that Russ will be taking off-season reps. The first team off-season reps for the Giants, which obviously should be a no-brainer. And hopefully we'll see how this quarterback battle goes between him, Jameis Winston, and you can't leave out Tommy DeVito as well. So yeah, that quarterback room is got a lot of character to it, and that should bolster that team in a sense. Like I said, they did come off of 3 wins last year. It was abysmal of a season. Brian Daboll has, I think he's on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat after winning Coach of the Year a couple years ago for the New York Giants and taking them to the playoffs. He's on the hot seat for sure, y'all. And now, like I said, I mentioned earlier that we're going to be talking about another family, the Sanders family. Now, give him his theme music, y'all. Deion Sanders signs a 5-year extension with Colorado. It's a $54 million deal. That makes him the highest paid Big 12 coach in the NCAA. And it makes him the 4th highest paid overall coach in college as well. I think this is well-deserved for Deion Sanders. This actual upcoming season is going to be his first without his sons, both Shador and Shiloh, as they are entering the draft. Obviously, Shador is looking like a top 3 pick. And then Shiloh might be a late round undrafted. He didn't do too well in his in the Senior Bowl, didn't do too well in his combine, and too well in the pro day as well. But he coached both of them because he coached both of them at Jackson State and Colorado. And then there was a lot of speculations of him leaving for the NFL to follow his sons, but luckily he just put that to rest as well. What is it? I believe he has a target on his back, y'all. There's seemingly a lot of expectations for this Buff teams coming in this upcoming season for them. They're coming off a 9-win season. Like I said, there's a lot of expectations for Deion Sanders himself after joining the team after they had they're 1 year removed from a 1-win season prior to Deion Sanders' arrival. Then they shoot up to 4 wins, 4-8 last year or 2 years ago, and just seeing that, when I looked at their schedule, this upcoming season, let's look at it real quick actually. So first of all, I just want to state the record that last year, I wasn't too high on Colorado. I think I had them as a 5-win team last year, so I was one of the haters, one of Deion's haters. Like, not that I hate him as a coach, but I just didn't think the roster was built to beat some of these teams in the Big 12. But if we look over at this upcoming season, let me see. They play their first game of the season going to be against Delaware. That's an easy. I mean, I can't say it's going to be an easy W just because I know they played North Dakota State last year, and North Dakota State gave them a run for their money for sure. So Delaware might be coming in and probably have that same mentality. They are playing. It looks like they're playing Houston. They're playing Wyoming, BYU. They struggled against BYU last year. They struggled against Arizona. Kansas State. That's going to be the big one as well. But if I look at this team, this is a completely different roster. Like I said, y'all, they're not playing with Shador. Travis Hunter is a top 3 pick as well. Him and Shador are basically the lock at the top 3. So this is a completely different roster. If I look at this schedule right here, I could definitely, I'm gonna give them a little bit highly on them this year as well, which doesn't make sense as opposed to last year. But I can see them winning 8 games. I can see them getting to a bowl game for sure. Deion Sanders, they went to a bowl game last year and they lost, but I can see them going to this one. And then, like, the real main question is, who is going to replace Shador for the Colorado Buffaloes? Is it going to be the Liberty transfer, Caden Slater, or maybe even the 5-star freshman that they got in Julian Lewis? And then what about filling the role of Travis Hunter? Amarion Miller looks like he wants to step up into that wide receiver 1 spot in conversation as well. And then also, I think Deion Sanders has been really high on the special teams player from last year, Isaiah Harge. He's looking to make even more of a splash on the roster and make more of a splash for this upcoming season for them as well. But let's be real, y'all. Nobody can necessarily replicate or replace what these 2 players did over for Colorado, especially Travis Hunter. You do get 2-way players. It's every once in a blue moon. You get a 2-way player in the NCAA. More so, it would be on the offensive, like special teams or something like that. But getting someone like Travis Hunter, like I said, it's very hard to replicate. So we really got to see what Colorado does moving forward. Let me know what you guys think about Colorado. If you think Deion Sanders has a lot of expectations moving forward, if you believe, who do you think is going to actually replace these 2 superstars that are leaving for the draft? So, oh God. That is a crazy picture, bro. Man, hell no. So another head coach who definitely got a well-deserving contract extension was John Harbaugh of the Baltimore Ravens. This guy is the winningest coach in franchise history. And then over there in Baltimore, there's just lots of stability and continuity over there. And like I said, this is really well-deserved. And moving forward, I can really see another Super Bowl within this extension for the Baltimore Ravens. He is one of my favorite coaches in the league. But as I said, I didn't state this last week in my question, in my Q&A, about teams with the most expectations. But I really think Baltimore is up there with the most expectations too. More in particular, Lamar Jackson, just because he plays amazing in the regular season, kind of similar to Josh Allen as well. Like if you take the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens, these teams are basically two sides of the same coin in a sense. That they both have similar issues in a sense of they got to get past Patrick Mahomes, both these teams, and when it comes to playoff time, Lamar Jackson has struggled in the playoffs. I think he only has 1 playoff win. I could be wrong. I think it's like 1 or 2 playoff wins in so far. So, and he's like I said, he's struggling in the playoffs. So there's a lot riding on this, and they have a really good roster. I believe they should. They will be competing in the AFC North. I think they could be the favorites to win it for sure. The Bengals are trying to shoot back as well, and then I'm not too worried about the Browns, and then the Steelers. Their quarterback situation still hasn't been answered, so who knows what's going to happen if Aaron Rodgers is going over there or whatnot. But a lot of expectations going forward for the Baltimore Ravens. And like I said, I think this is well-deserved of John Harbaugh. And like I said, he's one of my favorite coaches in the league. And so I want you guys to let me know what you think about these 2 signings. Do you think the Ravens will win a Super Bowl within this contract extension for John Harbaugh? Or do you think something else will happen to this team? And y'all, this past weekend, I have another March Madness update, and now we have the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 this past weekend, y'all. I think it was on like Thursday and Friday and Saturday. We had some really great games, y'all. We had some really good games, and then I'm gonna get into my Final Four prediction as well. So let's start off with the first game. The first game of the Sweet 16 was Alabama versus BYU. Now, BYU was the one of the surprise teams to make it this far. Not a lot of people were high on BYU, but let's be real, y'all. In this game, Alabama shoots the lights out versus BYU. Actually, they beat BYU 113-88. They set the record for the most 3-pointers made in NCAA tournament history. Actually, which was 25 threes. And then Mark Sears himself, he had 10 alone, which was actually out of this world insane. So Alabama shoots the lights out versus BYU. The next game was Florida versus Maryland. Florida, Walter Clayton Jr. and Florida, they outshined Maryland. Maryland struggled to get rebounds that game. And then despite even the turnovers that Florida had, they had way more turnovers than Maryland had. They still couldn't pull out the win. And Florida beats Maryland 87-71. Now moving over to one of my Final Four teams that I predicted to go, Kentucky. They struggled against Tennessee. Like I said, it was one of my Final Four predicts. They got knocked out. Former SDSU player Lamont Butler, he had 18 points, but that just wasn't enough for Kentucky to compete with Tennessee. So Kentucky lost against Tennessee as well. Now, my game of the weekend was Duke versus Arizona. Now, here I go with my Duke glazing again, y'all. But it's warranted this time. It's definitely warranted. I mean, it's been warranted all tournament. But this is definitely warranted. Caleb Love, he dropped 35 points against Duke. Duke couldn't hold his jockstrap at all.
Crazy.
They couldn't. He dropped 35 on them. And then, but Cooper Flag, y'all, like I said, that man, he had 30 points. So these two battled really hard against each other. I think one of the things I think a lot of Arizona fans can probably attest to this is there's a lot of fouls in this game, a lot of phantom calls being called as well. They believe there was a flagrant that was called that they didn't believe was a flagrant, and so it was very controversial on the ref side of things. But like I said, I think I mentioned this before, that in terms of like when it gets closer and closer, when we are in these postseason, these tournaments for to win a national championship and stuff like that, refs will be closely critiqued and closely criticized for poor calls and stuff like that. And I believe actually most of those refs in that game actually didn't even move on to the Final Four to be refs for any of the Final Four games, so that kind of speaks volume a little bit. But like I said, that was a really great game. Duke beat Arizona 100-93 though, so Duke's still going strong, y'all. Now, the other game of the week that week though too was Arkansas versus Texas Tech. Now this game was also insane. This game actually went into overtime. There's so much to go into this game. Remember, we were watching that. We were watching that game. Arkansas was up 16 at the half, y'all. It wasn't they were playing really well against this Texas Tech team. I think I kind of went over last week how they could beat this Texas Tech team, but it was to stop JT Toppins, and they just couldn't. They couldn't. What was it? The last possession in overtime too is what really baffled me for this Arkansas team. I'm not too sure what John Calipari was doing, but the last possession, I believe they inbounded the ball. They took it across half court. I'm thinking they would call a timeout. They did not call a timeout at all. They just rushed the shot and it was a terrible shot, actually, in fact, and Arkansas lost that game. And like I said, they were up 16 at half, so I don't know what went through John Calipari's mind. Like I said, if he would have called a timeout, I feel like they would have had a way better chance to win this game. But alas, they didn't. I mean, Texas had 3 guys with 20+ points, and like I said, they struggled to defend JT Toppins late, and that was my key factor for them to win this game was to stop JT Toppins, and they unfortunately couldn't. And so Arkansas got the boot against Texas Tech. And like I said, but that was a really good game as well. The next one was the Houston versus Purdue. Purdue gave Houston a scare early on, but it was essentially a home game for Purdue because I think it was in Indianapolis, and Purdue was like not too far from Indianapolis itself. So, but Houston went on to beat Purdue. My next game is my one of my other Final Four predicts in Auburn versus Michigan. The Michigan bigs had double-digit points, and they played pretty well. But the only thing was, I think, what is it, Vlad? How do you say his first name? I'm gonna just call him Vlad. Vlad Golden. He was honestly a defensive liability. The Auburn guards had too much speed for him, and he's really slow. I mean, I think a lot of 7-foot guys are gonna be slow, but I like just seeing his speed. It was bad. It was bad. He got blown. They blown by him so many times. They weren't scared. I think that was the main thing of playing against this Michigan team, which the other teams that failed to beat them failed to do, was pressure them on the inside, pressure the paint, and really expose their bigs in terms of like just using speed against them. And then Johnny Broome, which he's one of the other talks of the tournament this year. Alongside with Cooper Flag, that man is a stud, y'all. He had 22 points and 16 rebounds. Auburn moves on to the Elite Eight as well with a 78-65 victory over Michigan. And like I said, I think them just being able to expose Michigan for having when their two big men are on the court, exposing them was really what led them to victory. But 4 of the Michigan State guys had double-digit points, so they kept it close, but they just couldn't finish it out. So, like I said, now we're on to the Elite Eight. So the Elite Eight happened as well. We had Auburn versus Michigan State. Oh wait, actually, I just skipped over, y'all. Hold on, I just skipped over. I forgot to mention about Michigan State versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss is another one of the SEC teams that no one really expected them to make it this far as well. They're the 6th seed. They got out front early in the game, but I think the depth of Michigan State is what really tested this team. So that's how they beat Ole Miss 73-70. And like I said, I meant to say it for them. Michigan State had 4 guys with double-digit points, not Michigan, to correct myself. But let's get into the Elite Eight as well. So the first game of the Elite Eight that I really enjoyed watching was Auburn versus Michigan State. Like I said, Johnny Broome, once again, he recorded the double-double with 25 points, 14 rebounds, on 10 of 13 shooting, 10 for 13 shooting. That's very efficient. But both teams, however, struggled to shoot the three. They were both shooting under 30% or under for both. But Auburn advances by beating Michigan State 70-64. Now, the team I've been with Florida, and like I said, y'all kind of been neglecting them all tournament, and this team just is dominating. They are a really good team. Walter Clayton dropped 30 points. On 50% shooting, and 22 of those 30 points came in the second half, with 13 of those points coming in the final 5 minutes. Now, J.T. Toppins himself, he had a double-double, but Texas Tech struggled late in the second half to get any shots up. I think they had a 9-point lead with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left, y'all, and they blew it. They blew it and they lost it. And Florida State, they advanced to the Final Four. Now, if we go, the next game was Houston versus Tennessee. Now, y'all, this was probably I think I said it before, but now Tennessee just tops it. Now, this was probably the worst shooting game that I ever seen in my life. I think Tennessee actually sets the record, y'all. The all-time record for the lowest points in an elite game with 15. They shot 6 of 28, 1 for 15 from beyond the arc. Mind you, this is the most wins by a team without a Final Four appearance with 31. And so just them scoring 15 points in that first half against a really good Houston team was not ideal by any means. I don't, just watching that, it was horrible, y'all. It was really horrible. And then, they exploded in the second half, but like I say, if you score 15 in the first half, you're clawing your way back. And so they lost. I think they had 35 points in the second half, but they lost. They ultimately lose 69-50 to Houston. Now the next game, my favorites to win it all, Duke versus Alabama. So they dominated Alabama. Actually, man, they've been dominating. They dominated everyone basically. Besides Arizona, Duke's been beating teams by double digits. So, and they dominated Alabama 85-65. Duke shot extremely well. Cooper had 16 and 9, and what is it? Kneppel, he had 21 points, and I've been neglecting him as well. He's been playing really well this tournament. It's not just Cooper Flag, y'all. They also have a lot of other pieces that are playing really well with Kneppel as well. He had 21 points, and so that's wraps up the Elite Eight, y'all. So in the Final Four, matchup. This is only the second time in NCAA March Madness in the tournament history that the Final Four is going to feature 4 number 1 seeds. The last time that happened was in 2008. The teams were Kansas, Memphis, UCLA, and North Carolina, and I believe Kansas went on to beat Memphis in that year. I wonder who's on that team. No, can you look up who was on that Kansas team back in 2008? Kansas, that's one of those blue bloods. I mean, looking at it, Kansas is a blue blood, and North Carolina blue blood as well. I think UCLA. All these guys, really good teams back in 2008. But let's look at our Final Four bracket right here, y'all. So we got Auburn versus Florida, and we got Duke versus Houston. Now, like I said, y'all, I got 2 out of the 4 correct in terms of my Final Four predictions. So not too bad. And I think a lot of people are not. I don't know why, but I think a lot of people are expected to this tournament to be a little bit more, a lot of Cinderella teams, but I think, and a lot of people think with NIL, with the transfer portal, a lot of these teams, Auburn and Florida, especially, they got a lot of guys out of the from transfer portal, in NIL, and all that stuff like that. So a lot of people aren't excited. Let me see. Oh yeah, let's see who's on this roster. Who was on this roster that I can? Okay, they had the Morris twins on this team. Okay.
Jeff Whitby from San Diego.
Oh shit.
Quintrell Thomas. Brady Morningstar. He sounds like porn stars. Like porn star names.
Man, yeah. I'm gonna be honest. The only name I recognize is the Morris twins, but
Paul Aldridge. He played in the NBA. Chase Buford, I think so. 2008, 2009, right?
yeah, I believe that's This has to be this is the team that won it all. So hey, shit, congratulations to them. But like I said, y'all, this is the first time we have 4 number 1 seeds. Second time we have 4 number 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament. And like I said, I think a lot of people feel like this was kind of a letdown in a sense, just because, like they said, they think that with the transfer portal and all this, it's ruining the game. But I think it's fine. These teams are all number 1 in their respective regions for a reason. And they earned these seeds. They played really well. They all played really well. They all well deserved of making it to this to the Final Four. Now looking at it, man, Johnny Broome versus Walter Clayton Jr. is gonna be a movie. That is gonna be a really good game. I think it starts on Saturday, the Final Four. So my prediction for that, I think I'm gonna go with Florida, y'all. I'm gonna go with Florida to advance to the championship game, and then with Duke versus Houston, it should be pretty plain straightforward. What I believe Duke is gonna play Florida, so I think it's gonna be Duke versus Florida in the national championship game. Cooper Flag versus Walter Clayton Jr. That's gonna be a really good game. I want you guys to let me know down below. What's your predictions for this Final Four coming up? Do you think it's gonna be what I believe? Do you think it's going to be Duke versus Florida? Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Florida has what it takes to take down Auburn? Can Houston do pull up the? I guess you could say pull up the upset. Let me see real quick. Let me see what the spread is looking like. Let's see. Let me see.
This is good ass quality.
Is it?
I'm just saying, man.
So it looks like Florida's 2.5 point favorites. That makes sense. Let's see. I'm trying to see what's Duke looking like. What's that Duke looking like? Let me see. Is it gonna show me? I don't think so. regardless, whatever. It is what it is. But like I said, y'all, Final Four is coming up on Saturday. You know, Auburn versus Florida, Duke versus Houston. Four number ones, and like I said, they well deserve those number one in their respective regions. Let me know what you guys think down below of who you believe can win it all. We're getting closer and closer to it, y'all. We're getting closer and closer. And with that, all that being said, y'all, that's gonna be it for this episode of This Week in Sports. Leave any questions you have down below. Follow all of my social medias, This Week in Sports Pod, on Instagram, on TikTok as well. We got, Spotify and also on YouTube as well. So make sure to tune in and listen, y'all. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you guys on next week, okay?